What do we mean by contemporary building? Contemporary building is coming from the classes, the style of architecture. It is good for you to understand the class of architecture. Once you know the type of architecture, then you'll be able to know the one you are going to go for when you want to invest in the properties. So it's better for you to have good knowledge of different type of architecture. Number 2, regulation and the flood. As a estate developer, you must understand the various styles because it directly impacts the success, value, and sustainability of your project. There are key reasons why you, as a developer, must understand various types of architecture. Number 1, market appeal. Different buyers and tenants have diverse tastes. Knowing architectural style helps developers to design properties that attract specific demography. Because look at what is happening in Lekki now. You can see young guys are rushing into Lekki. Why? Because the people that are actually investing around Lekki area, they know the modern architecture, they know the type of architecture which people want, which is modern. They know the class of people that are looking for accommodation. That is why they go for minimum room and parlor, self-contained, and 2-bedroom. 2, the developer who understands the style can balance aesthetic with the cost-effective construction. As a developer, you should be able to balance your aesthetics, because nice building, a lot of people want to rush for nice. Hey, that building is nice. No, I must stay in there. That is one of the most important things we should have to bear in mind. Number 2, environmental and contextual fit. Style often reflect climatic adaptation. Look at, say for example, in Lagos, where we have the climate is hot, we must have enough windows so that there will be a lot of ventilations for the inhabitants. Eventually, that is why if you look at one of the Lagos state regulation, any bedroom, once you label bedroom, must have 2 windows. So that is why it is good for you to be able to balance the whole thing. Number 3, environmental and contextual fit. Style often reflect climatic adaptation, like creativity and innovation. Knowledge of styles allow all the developers to blend the elements, creating unique projects that stand out in a competitive market. Nowadays, estate development industry is extremely competitive. You can see estate springing up and down here and there, here and there. Then number 3, regulatory and legal compliance. Many cities have planning regulations tied to architectural style. There are some estates now that will insist that no, this is the style we want in this estate. This is the style you want. But once as a developer, when you go into that type of estate, you want to invest in that type of estate. If you don't understand that language, this is the style, you don't understand that style, eventually you end up losing a lot of money because you have to demolish. Because they will tell you that no, you are not complying, you are not confronting with the style that we want in this estate or in this area. So it means that you are going to start demolishing and renovating and all those things. So that is why you need to understand the style, architectural style. I mentioned some styles of architecture so that you will understand what all this type of architecture is all about. Presently, contemporary and what we are having right now, they are called modern architecture. So you need to understand, okay, this is modern architecture, it's different from traditional architecture. Then we have traditional architecture, we have colonial architecture, we have the industrial style of architecture, we have the tropical type of architecture, we have vernacular architecture, we have the postmodern architecture, we have the brutalistic architecture. Nowadays, modern architecture, which is also contemporary, is not only of one type of architecture, it combines 2 or 3 types together to be able to get this modern architecture. And what you can know, the feature elements of all those architecture are 1, clean line, minimal decoration, flat roof, large glass windows, open floor plans. That is what is training now. You want to have open plan kitchen, you want to have this, you want to have that, you want everything to flow into one another. But look at that picture now. That is more or less a typical example of modern architecture with long windows. If you take, for example, what is happening at Lekki nowadays, you can see people with long windows, Nobody is building small windows nowadays. They always go for one long window. That is more or less like the modern architecture. That is what the contemporary architecture, that is what we are going to look at. Then number 2, we are talking about the traditional architecture based on the local, cultural, and historical. It is also in Nigeria culture system where we have the peace road, we have all those, but nowadays we don't have something like that now. We don't use that. As a real estate agent, when you want to develop, you don't even look at those types. Say, no, I don't have to go to say I must go to a modern, because that is what is in vogue. We have the colonial architecture, which is basically symmetrical. Where all the windows, everything is symmetrical. It's just like in mathematics, when you are balancing equation, you say what you have on the right, you must have it on the left. That is basically what is in the colonial architecture. And if you have something like this nowadays, nobody will going to buy it from you. Industrial style of architecture is more or less like where we have exposed steels and not those things. Nowadays, nobody wants to see all those things, because at times steels, when you have exposed steels and everything, they look ugly. When you use just bricks, they use ugly, something like that. So that is why you have to stay away from all this type of architecture. Then after that, we have the tropical architecture, which designed for the hot climate. That is what like what we have in Lagos. That is basically tropical architecture with cross ventilation, with wide overhang shade, so that the sun doesn't reflect into your house, so that you have the room with the summer conducive for you, and you have the indoor-outdoor connection over there. That is ideal place for Lagos or something of that nature. But that initially, I told you that look at what modern architecture is all about. It's combination of 2 or 3 architectural styles, which is more or less like contemporary. We have tropical, which is also reflecting in the modern architecture that we have, postmodern architecture. That's what we have nowadays. That's what everybody wants to see. That's what the client wants to see. That's what people want to invest in. And like I said, it's a mixed style of architecture with both color and usual shape, unusual shape, and those decorative elements. You see, like line, the grooves and everything. All of them married together to give you a nice, pleasing architectural building. That is all about the architectural styles, which you need to understand the various types of architecture. It is mostly advisable for you as a developer to know the type of architecture you have to embark on, to know the style you have to embark on. Part 2, we are now going to the regulation aspect of it. Regulation aspect is very important. You need to know how to benefit once you know the regulation that is guiding your area, your investment, and everything. Modern building regulations are designed to ensure safety, sustainability, and reliance. These are the key aspects. Number 1, environmental sustainability, which is energy efficient design. That is why when you see the modern architecture, contemporary architecture nowadays, you see the material, the mixed materials on their elevations. So those materials make everything, when they marry everything together, it gives you an appealing building that will attract your customers. Now we are also talking about the fire safety. In terms of the fire safety, first of all, you have to always have an escape route. That is why in most cases, when you are designing, make sure that you have escape route because of any fire outbreak. Building must be designed to withstand load. Use of certified professionals. When you don't use professional, indirectly, the money that you refuse to pay professional, you are going to waste it. That is why it is very important for you to also try as much as possible to use professional in whatever you are doing. The money you are trying to save, you're going to lose a lot at the end of the day. Number 4 is more or less like the services. When you don't use professional for the service, when your electrical installation, it can cause us electrical hazard. Most of the buildings that you see that are cutting fires, in most cases, they started from electrical faults. So that is why it's always good for you to have the electrical engineer that do all this installation for you and everything. Accessibility, also, it is also good to, when you talk of accessibility, design of people and disabled. Although in Nigeria, we don't lay as much emphasis on disabled people. But in South Africa, where I'm coming from, it is compulsory. It is compulsory. Any small thing they will tell you disabled ramp. When you are talking about the parking, there must be a disabled parking. It is only a few places in Nigeria that we see where you are having all those facilities, but we have to lay more emphasis. We are in the built industry. We have to lay emphasis on disabled people. Even disabled doesn't that those who are without, but the aged people as well. That approval and compliance is very important. It's one of the most important aspects of this topic. Because like now, when you have your building, you don't comply, Lagos State will come, they come and demolish, and they mark S, and they stop you, and it will affect your flow, it can affect your investment. Maybe you have gone for a loan, and you went to a bank to go and secure a loan and say you are going to pay back a social period and everything, and with certain interest rates. But at the end of the day, when you have to stop bank, Lagos State come, they come and stop, the building control agency they come and block your building, they close your construction building and site and everything. Then you are losing indirectly, you are losing your people, investment, you are losing a lot. When you stop workers on site, the worker you go out of site to bring them in, it's a lot of problem. That is why you have to know a lot about approval and compliance. Once you have you have the knowledge of approval and compliance, there won't be any delay at all. There won't be any delay on your project. There won't be any delay on your cash flow. There won't be any delay on your program of works. Approval and compliance. In Lagos State, contemporary building regulation system is handled basically by two key government agencies that works together to control. What do they control? Number one, they control your planning. Number two, they give the approval. Number three, they monitor during the construction period. So you have to bear that in mind. There are only two agencies. Don't be scammed, don't be confused. Only two agencies that you have to deal with. The first agency to start with is the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority. Lagos State Physical Planning Authority, that is the people that are solely responsible for the approval of your building. They basically for approval of your building. What they do is to issue out the development permit. Once you submit and you meet with their requirement, that is all. They give you a permit, they give you development permit. Then development permit, with your development permit and your approved plan, that's why you can now go into stage two. Stage two, the second set of agency. The second set of agency is one that is known everywhere. Because of their work is physical, you see them demolishing, you see them marking, you see them do all sorts of things. That is the monitoring part of that is the construction monitoring aspect of Lagos State agency. So they are basically called LASCA. To start with the first aspect, you have to go for approval, building approval. To obtain your building approval, you must comply with the requirement set mainly by Lagos State Building Planning Permit Authority for permits and Lagos State Building Control Agency for construction, like I said earlier on. But simply the process goes thus. When you also go for approval, you get your land title. When you buy a land, there must be a land title, which BlueTech has to, they always do that. Number two, preparation of the drawings. When you prepare your drawing, when you buy a land from BlueTech, you always make sure to guide you through. When you are preparing your drawing, they will ask you, bring your drawings. They don't want problem from you at the end of the day because you are their client. They will ask you, bring your drawing for vetting. When you submit your drawing, they will guide you so that when you go to Lagos State for approval, you won't have any problem at all. Then after preparing your drawing, you have to submit to Lagos State for approval. And after you submit to Lagos State for approval, then they will issue you invoices. Then during the construction, you invite them for inspection because they have to satisfy that according to the building the plan that you brought to us, this is what you are supposed to, this is what you are doing. They have to satisfy it as well. That is why they follow you, they monitor you during the construction. Then once you are done, they now give you, once everything is done, the building is completed, they give you certificate of completion. Certificate of completion is more or less like what I told you. You can easily use that as collateral or whatever you want to do with your document. You know that you got approval, this building is legal and all those things. That is why it's always good to have your compliance certificate. When you are going for your approval, first of all, land documents. Land title document is number one thing, which is very important. You must have your CFO. If you don't have your CFO, there must be that deed of assignment or governor consent. When you are talking about the governor's consent, that may be a land that originally the owner have got the CFO. In any situation, they don't issue two CFOs for a particular land. The next one is going to be a governor consent. Governor consent is more or less as good as C of O, but C of O always belongs to the first owner. Third or subsequent owner will only apply for governor consent. But this deed of assignment is more or less like an agreement between you and the people that you got the land from. That is the deed of assignment. It's just like a legal agreement, like a receipt that no, this land, we sold this land to this Mr. So. That is the deed of assignment. All these things, that's what you have to submit. You have to submit for building approval. Then your survey, once you buy your stand, your plot, it's better you have to do the survey in your own name, to carry your name. And that is the name that will reflect in your deed of assignment on the consent. That is also very important. And even in Lagos State, it's everywhere all over the world. There is no way where you don't do your survey. So survey is also very important because it demarcates where you stand, the boundary of your stand. It gives you the measurement, it gives you the coordinate and bearings. So that is about the title document. That is the important title document that you have to submit for your building approval. Number 2 is the architectural drawing or drawing in particulars. Then also, any building that is more than 2 floors, they want mechanical and structural drawing for them. It's mechanical and electrical drawing for them. Mechanical, because like I said, it's very important to have your professional electrical engineer to do your design, to do your riser diagram, to determine the diffuse, the cutters and everything, so that your house will not be sparking and the got burnt. It's better for you to engage with a professional to do that. Mechanical is for AC and your toilets and everything. So it's better for you to engage a professional to handle those aspects for you. So right now we are on page 14. We are now moving to slide number 15. Now we are talking about the application documents. Lagos State, you have to submit to Lagos State Physical Planning Authority all these documents that we talk about, and where you are going to, apart from the drawings that you are submitting, you have to get your application form, and you have to complete it. You have to get your title document, even if you are from where you bought the land from. You have to get the survey, you get your drawing, both structural and engineering. The task clearance is very important. Task clearance is very important because without task clearance, Lagos State will not have anything to do with you. So tax clearance is very important, and right now they are now using tax identification number. They also ask you for your tax identification number and tax clearance certificate. Then also another thing which is also very important is the site photographs. They want you to submit your site photographs. Site photographs will show whether you already started construction or not. They want to know what is happening there. And after you submit all these things, then we still have to go back to go and check whether you are telling them the truth or not, or whether you have gone to another site to go and take the photographs. All those ones, they have to check. But all this compliance and everything, at Good Talk, we always do that. We do everything. We make sure that we guide you. You will buy a property from us, you buy a land, and we will guide you through. We guide you through all these processes, because we don't want you to go and face problem when you are going back to the Lagos State to go and submit. We guide you that this, we prepare your mind. We prepare your mind towards that, so that you don't waste your time, you don't waste your energy, you don't waste your fuel and all those stuff. Then environmental impact assessment report is only for sensitive building projects. When you are talking about the high-rise, when you're talking about the church, you are talking about the event center, you are going to talking about the mosque and all those things. That's why I say I use the word sensitive project, large building and sensitive project. Then during the construction stage, you need to know when these people are coming, what and what are they coming for? You need to know. Number one, to inspect your foundation. First of all, what they look for is your setbacks. Do you comply with the shared building setback? In Lagos State, you have on the front, you have 6 setbacks, 6 meter setbacks. On the rear side, you have 3 meter setback. On the left and right side, on the right side, you have 3 meter setback. Those are the things that they are coming for, to come and inspect. That's number one. Number two, they are coming to come and inspect your structural, your foundation. And is your foundation according to your building approval, what you have gotten, you have granted approval for? They need to check whether if they approve strip foundation, you can't go and do rough foundation. If you approve rough foundation, you can't go and do a cheaper foundation. Those are the things they want to check, that you are conforming with what you got approval for. Then the finishing stage, they want to see the finishing stage of what you are doing. So also they want to ensure that you comply with the approval plan, so that whatever you are building, you are complying with what you have gotten approval for. Those are what they are coming to come and check at your site when they come to your site. And usually you have to also invite them. You have to give them some few days notice. You invite them, they come and see, they come to your site. You can't just go to the office and just invite them and take, they must follow you. They don't do that. You give them, they will give you time when they have to come to your office, to your site, to come and sit, and they will approve whatever stage you are. All this approval is what they are going to put together to give you the final certificate of completion. In conclusion, you have to also note that it is very important, you must not deviate from your approved plan, please. Once you got approval, sometimes say, no, I must change this, I must change that. Yes, if you want to change, you notify them then that you are going to promise them that I'm going to submit as built drawings. You can only deviate. You call them, I want to deviate, I want to make some changes, I want to make some alteration, but as built drawing must be submitted. Failure to do all these things, you will be experiencing stop work order. They will issue stop work order. They will split your building, and in most cases, they will demolish. You can see that they demolish along the windows. So I have to run the other aspect fast because the time is going. The other aspect is more or less like part 3, flood control measures. Is how do you prevent your building from flooding? It's very also an important thing. You have to plan your drainage system from day one. You have to plan your drainage system so that you don't put yourself in mess or your investment in a mess. You can't spend so millions of nairas and all those or millions of nairas, and at the end of the day, the building is not marketable. It's never done. It's not profitable. So when you are starting your project, first of all, lay emphasis on this aspect of flooding. Look at that environment. You have to put it in mind. You have to plan. You have to plan your drainages. You have to plan your gutters and everything. It's not just ordinary planning, but we get to go into, I quickly go into the details of all those aspects. Number one, your building must be elevated when you are doing your foundation. Make it higher than the road level. You have to take your building higher to avoid flood. And number two, at times when the road is not, or the gutters of the main street is not done, you do your sockaway. You do your sockaway temporarily for your water, so that you discharge your kitchen water and all those things, so that it's soak away. Then planning and access, raise your entrance, because your access, when this road is flooded, the flood must not come, or the compound is flooded, it must not come into your property. That's why you have to plan your entrance, raise it with some steps. When you are looking at 600, it's going to give you at 150 risers, it's going to give you 4 steps. Try as much as well to make sure they have about 4 steps into your building. Then flood resistant material. Always try as much as possible to use flood resistant material on your ground floor. So that is why in South Africa, sorry for placing emphasis on South Africa, because I did a lot of construction over there, and over there I'm able to compare with the construction we have in Nigeria and what we have over there. They have what they call engineering bricks, which they use for their foundation. It's very strong and it's not waterproof. Water can never penetrate. It sounds like an iron or something like that. They call it engineering bricks. So it's expensive, but they don't mind. They do it so that the property will be saved. So that the property will be saved. It's not going to be water flooded. It's not going to be dampness. You can see a lot of properties in Lekki now. You see the paints on the ground floor. The paints are peeling off. It's because of the water resistance. In most cases, when you are doing a foundation, you are supposed to apply damp-proof membrane and all those things on the foundation so that the groundwater will not come up. But that is why you are having a lot of problem in Lekki. That's why you see the building, the paint are peeling off, and some people will end up using tiles on it. But tile is more or less like a temporary, because at the end of the day, the block will also turn to powder and the tiles will be peeling off at them, but it's a temporary measure. But the mistake has been done. That's why, as a developer, we have to put all this in mind and not to run into the mistake where we're going to increase our maintenance costs. Green infrastructure, try as much as possible to have a lot of plenty vegetation to absorb the surface water. It is very important. Here in Nigeria, we don't do it. Over there, they enforce certain percentage of your land that have to be the green. That there must be a green, there must be grass. But here, everywhere is tar, everywhere. It's even affecting our environment. It's even making the environment to be hot. But over there, you will see it, you will feel it, you feel the coolness of that environment. The grass will absorb the heat and it also absorbs the water. So in summary, contemporary building regulation focus on safety, sustainability, compliance. Then flood control is more or less like managing your flood, protecting your structure by getting water away from your building and reducing your environmental impact. And I think I have to conclude like this to allow space to have enough time for question and answer. Thank you.